I have considered all of them, but I only own Bitcoin. And I think the reason why is if you look at the cryptocurrency market, what we call crypto, it really, first of all, they're not currencies. Second of all, they're all different. So Bitcoin is a crypto property, and it's a crypto commodity. And a commodity is something that is issued in a fair fashion without an issuer. And so there's only a handful of cryptocurrencies that might be deemed as crypto commodities, and Bitcoin is 100 times bigger and more stable than any of the other possible crypto commodities.
MicroStrategy CEO Michael Saylor is a prominent Bitcoin maximalist who believes in the superiority of the crypto asset over every other cryptocurrency. Saylor's business intelligence and analytics company, MicroStrategy, is currently the public company with the largest Bitcoin holdings at over 129,000 coins. Saylor also has another almost 18,000 Bitcoin in his personal holdings, which he bought at less than $10,000 per coin. Though Bitcoin is the leading cryptocurrency by market cap, there are several other crypto projects which have shown a lot of promise and many others that won't last the year. So as an avid investor in the cryptocurrency space, how does one sift these promising projects from the sham projects? This was one of the main topics of Michael Saylor's latest interview with the financial media outlet Benzinga. During the interview, Saylor attempts to clarify the gigantic difference between confusing terms like crypto property, security, commodity, and currency. He also talks about some of the most important qualities of Bitcoin that all other over 19,000 crypto assets have been unable to replicate. If you also find these terms confusing and would love to listen to Micheal Saylor's explanation, please watch, share, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to drop your comments and observations in the comment section below. Thanks and enjoy the video.
There's a lot of coins that want to be a currency. They're stable coins, but they're not currencies yet. And so you have, sometimes people think something like UST is a currency, but UST was an unregistered security, not a currency. If you have a currency, the question is, are you fully backed by collateral, and can you redeem the currency one for one in a crisis? And we're finding that out right now. When people tried to redeem UST, it crashed and burned. They're redeeming Tether aggressively. That's the front page story in the Wall Street Journal today. If Tether is able to redeem billions of dollars worth of Tether, then it will survive. And if it can't, then it will crash, right? So if you're going to invest in these things, you have to understand, is it a commodity? And most aren't. 99.9% are not commodities. Is it a currency? If it's a currency, is it fully collateralized or not? And how collateralized is it? And there are multiple degrees of that. Is it a security? Most cryptos are securities, but they're unregistered securities, which means there's no full and fair disclosure. So if you're buying a security, like Luna was a security, it could be backed by a nickel of assets for every dollar trading. It could be backed by a penny of assets. It could be not backed at all. It could be not backed at all and inflated, hyperinflated by a factor of 100 tomorrow. So how do you know whether or not you want to hold that for any particular amount of time? There's other cryptos that are tokens, but what's the definition of a token legally? That has not been decided yet. So the marketplace is struggling to define currencies, securities, tokens, commodities. What's an exchange? What's a crypto bank? What is allowed? What is not allowed? And that is unclear. So the only thing that's clear is there's going to be a 99% failure rate amongst the 20,000 tokens. And so if you're going to invest in them, you're a venture capitalist. You're either a speculator or you're a VC. And if you gave me $1 billion as a venture capitalist and said, go ahead and invest in crypto stuff, I would take your money and I would do my best to invest in it, but it would be your money, not my money. I would be getting paid if we win. You would lose if we lose. It's a highly risky thing, right? So we're not venture capitalists. We're not speculators. We're savers. And the safe haven, most certain thing in the crypto universe is Bitcoin, because it was issued in a fair launch without a pre-mine, without an ICO. The founder never benefited. Satoshi's disappeared. It's truly decentralized. It's a commodity. It doesn't have an issuer. And it meets one very straightforward use case, which is store of value. And there's no regulatory ambiguity about whether it's legal or ethical for you to hold $1 million or $1 billion of Bitcoin for the next decade as a store of value. Everything else in the crypto ecosystem is uncertain, and there's a huge amount of regulatory overhang. And we're going to have to wait for some number of years before we get the guidance necessary to understand what you can do and how you can do it and who can do it. And so that's why we don't invest in that. And I wouldn't recommend an institutional investor or conservative investor to invest in those things. You have to have extremely high risk tolerance, either as a speculator or a venture capitalist.
If you were still doubtful about Michael Saylor's in-depth understanding and dedication to Bitcoin, then you need to watch more of his videos. So feel free to check our large catalog of Michael Saylor videos on Bitcoin and everything crypto. It would be worth your time. The American entrepreneur and businessman has clearly come a long way from being a Bitcoin critic to being one of the leading members of the Bitcoin community. And everything started with getting proper education about the crypto asset and how important it would be 7 or 8 years down the line. Let's listen to the rest of Saylor's interview to further appreciate his support for Bitcoin.
Michael, would you consider buying a cryptocurrency exchange that has sold off but owns a lot of Bitcoin?
No, I think our strategy is very laser-like. We think that the highest quality, best asset in the world is Bitcoin. Everything else in the world is inferior to Bitcoin. So if you gave me $1 million and said, what do you want to buy? I don't want to buy a sports team. I don't want to buy a building. I don't want to buy a company. I don't want to buy an NFT. All I want to buy is Bitcoin. I don't want to buy an altcoin. If I bought anything other than Bitcoin, it's dilutive to our long-term results. And maybe more importantly, even if even if you disagree with me, maybe you thought silver or gold is the best asset in the world. The point is, MicroStrategy strategy is Bitcoin, buy and hold. So if you want to buy gold, you create a company called Gold Strategy and you buy and hold gold. And because we're publicly traded, it's very important to be transparent and consistent, because if you're a shareholder of MicroStrategy, you don't want the management team to be unpredictable. You don't want us to hedge. You don't want us to change course. You want us to do what we told you we were going to do. And we've told everyone our strategy is we run our enterprise software company and we sell business intelligence to the world. And then Bitcoin is our treasury reserve asset. So we sweep our excess capital into Bitcoin. And that way they can make decisions. Right. And if you want to hedge your bet, if you hate Bitcoin, you can short our stock, right? If you love Bitcoin, you can buy our stock. If you think we're 1% likely to be successful, you can buy you can put 1% of your portfolio into our stock. So we're allowing other people to control their risk and make their decisions. We need to be transparent and steadfast in our strategy.
Michael, last question here. You mentioned regulation briefly. A viewer asked, any concern that the success of Bitcoin may cause regulators to attempt to control or place limitations on crypto in general?
I think that for the industry to grow up, there needs to be more clarity. And so the key to keep in mind is, if you're trying to use the asset as a property right, and I'm going to hold it for 100 years, it's like property. And then in countries where they don't allow you to own property, like North Korea or in Cuba, right, the regulators are going to regulate you out of existence because they don't allow property. If you're using the asset as a currency, as a medium of exchange, and you want to trade it for coffee every morning, well, it's not going to be allowed to be a medium of exchange, because the dollar is the medium of exchange in the US and the euro is the medium of exchange in Europe. Those are assets that you can trade tax-free, and properties are taxed when they're traded. So you're going to get regulated based upon how you use the asset. If you want to create a crypto asset and change the supply every 6 months, it's not a commodity and it's not a currency, it's a security. And you're going to get regulated as a security. And if you wanted to issue a double or triple supply or change the characteristics of the crypto asset, you'd have to file a registration statement, and you have to file some disclosure to the general public telling them who made that decision, what other decisions are possible, what the risk factors are. So it's just natural. The regulators are going to regulate assets based upon the way that they're used, and there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, the only way the industry can grow by a factor of 100 is for the currencies to be treated as currencies, and for the securities to be treated as securities, and for the commodities to be treated as commodities. If you want to have your cake and eat it too, I want to change the supply. I don't want to pay taxes, and I also want to be a commodity, right? That's just not going to work, right? Because no regulator can allow that. It creates too much chaos.
We've established that Michael Saylor is in for the long haul when it comes to Bitcoin. With every interview, broadcast, and tweet, Saylor has shared his great conviction about Bitcoin with anyone who is ready to listen. He is not just a smart entrepreneur doing what is best for his business. He is helping to revolutionize what investment would look like for the next generations of investors. What do you think about Michael Saylor's latest interview? Please drop your comments and observations below, hit the like button, and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.